Good morning, Ibadan. Good morning, Oyo State. The program is State Affairs. Sorry for the technical difficulties we are witnessing this morning, but hopefully we are right this time. June 12, 1993. MKO Abiola is a name in our hearts. And yesterday, the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, reminded us of the values of June 12. He educated us on the beauty of democracy. He admonished us to stand firm and define and also protect the values of democracy. He accepted that our democracy is not perfect, but we have the opportunity to improve it. And it is that journey we have embarked on. The journey to improve our democracy. Let's listen to part of the President's broadcast yesterday.
Nigerians, today we celebrate democracy and the enduring Nigerian spirit. For 27 unbroken years, since May 29, 1999, Nigerians have chosen their leaders through the ballot, witnessed peaceful transition of power, and resolved disagreement in courtrooms and legislative chambers, not through violence. We have experienced the longest stretch of civilian rule in our history. Our democracy is not perfect, but it is ours, and we must continue to defend and strengthen it. In the coming days, Ekiti and Osun states will hold elections. I urge INEC, security agencies, and all parties to ensure these polls are peaceful and credible. Democracy fails when citizens doubt the process. To our National Assembly, judiciary, the press, and civil society, you are the guardrails of our republic. Criticize me, disagree with me, but never stop believing in Nigeria. To our young people, Nigeria is your home and your future. Build here, code here, work here, and vote here. Every great nation was built by those who stayed to solve problems, but not by those who abandoned ship. To our armed forces, police, and intelligence services, Nigeria salutes your sacrifice. To our traditional rulers, faith leaders, and community heads, thank you for your support of peace and reconciliation. The government cannot do it alone. Today, we honor the resilience of Nigerians who refuse to surrender their faith in freedom, and the courage of those who stood firm against intimidation. We pay tribute to patriots who endured persecution, imprisonment, exile, and even death so that future generations could enjoy democracy. I salute labor leaders, journalists, activists, students, women, professionals, political leaders, and soldiers, both those who passed and those still with us, for their patriotic contributions. Though this year's mood is dampened by the abduction of our children in Yoyo and Bonu, we remain hopeful for their safe return. Democracy without security is not solid enough. That is why this administration has chosen both kinetic and non-kinetic strategies to restore peace, declared a security emergency, and approved the recruitment of 50,000 new police officers and thousands of military recruits. Our 2026 budget commits 5.41 trillion, our largest ever, to defense and security. We have moved from training with our allies to precision targeting. In Arege, we degraded ISWAP and command centers. Terror-related deaths are down by 81% since 2015. Over 13,000 terrorists have been neutralized in the past year. But we also keep the door of surrender open. Over 124,000 fighters and dependents have laid down arms since 2023. Through Operation Safe Corridor, we turn our former enemies into citizens because every life saved is a victory for democracy. To bandits, kidnappers, and sponsors of terror, surrender or face the full force of the Nigerian state. These windows of surrender will not remain open forever. No mercy will be shown to those who trade in blood of Nigerians. At a time like this, let us not assign blames or point fingers. Crime has no ethnicity. We must stand united and be assured that the enemies of our nation shall soon be history. We will triumph over terror and continue to build a more prosperous nation. June 12 occupies a sacred place in our national memory. It represents more than an election. It is a defining chapter in our history. We remember Chief MKO Abiola, who won a pan-Nigerian mandate transcending ethnicity and religion. We remember Alhaja Kudirat Abiola. We also remember Chief Ganifa Emi, Chief Bola Ige, Chief Alfred Rwani, and Pa Abraham Adesoya, Chief Anthony Enahoro, Alhaji Balarabe Musa, Commodore Dan Suleiman, Beko Ransom Kuti, Franco Kori, Arthur Nwanko, Chima Obani, Shehu Musa Yar'Adua, and the many other heroes and heroines of democracy whose sacrifices helped secure the freedom we enjoy today. As beneficiaries of their struggle, we have a duty to strengthen and deepen the democratic institutions for which they fought. The greatest tribute we can pay is to build a Nigeria where freedom is protected, justice is upheld, opportunity is expanded, and government is accountable. June 12, 1993, revealed the possibility of a true Nigerian nation. The heroes of June 12 secured political freedom. Our challenge is to secure economic freedom. Democracy must be felt in the quality of people's lives. in opportunities for youth, in prosperous farmers, successful entrepreneurs, and the dignity of our workers.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
That's the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, delivering his June 12 broadcast to the nation yesterday. In that broadcast, President Tinubu declared that democracy cannot thrive without security, announcing a massive injection of funds and personnel into the nation's security architecture. Speaking to mark 27 years of unbroken civilian rule, the President confirmed that the 2026 budget allocates 5.41 trillion to defense and security, the largest such commitment in the nation's history. So what does that mean? Why do we have to allocate 5.41 trillion to defense and security? How did we get to this point? What is the implication of this amount on the health sector, on education? Does it mean reduced funding for education? Reduced funding for health? What are the causes of insecurity in Nigeria? The program is State Affairs on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. Let me remind you, I am broadcasting from outside Nigeria, so the technical difficulties we have witnessed this morning is as a result of that. Internet problems, connection issues. But I think we are good now, so please bear with us. It is Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. If you are listening on radio, we are going on a commercial break. But if you are online, we are good. We are still on. I am working with Shola Reo this morning. Stay tuned, stay cool. So the President has spoken. What do you think? He also disclosed the approval for the recruitment of more than 50,000 new police officers alongside thousands of military recruits as part of a security emergency declared by his administration. We can see that we bend, we bleed, but we do not break. The president made that point, and I like it. We bend, we bleed, but we do not break as a nation. Do you agree with the president? Why celebrating the longevity of Nigeria's democracy? And that is the longest stretch of civilian rule since independence. The president acknowledged that the celebratory mood was dampened by recent security challenges, specifically the abduction of children in Oyo and Borno states. He makes the point, democracy without security is not solid enough. Tinubu said, vowing that the windows of surrender for bandits and terrorists will not remain forever. So is there still window for surrender? The president still has a window? What do you think? No mercy will be shown to those who trade in the blood of Nigerians. That's President Tinubu warning. No mercy will be shown to those who trade in the blood of Nigerians. The president says no mercy, and the president also creates a window for surrender, while also revealing that over 124,000 fighters and dependents have laid down their arms since 2023 through Operation Safe Corridor. The president also indicated that the security situation is dire. 124,000 fighters. 124,000 fighters. That's interesting. 24,000 fighters, 124,000 have laid down their arms. That is the army of a country. So how many are presently armed? How many are presently armed? 124,000 have laid down their arms in the last 3 years. And that happened through Operation Safe Corridor. That's an army. What do you think? Let's listen to the president talk about his economic reforms. The program is State Affairs.
The reforms we are undertaking were not chosen for ease, but for necessity. 3 years ago, our public finances were under severe strain. Investment was discouraged, and economic uncertainty threatened our future. We chose to act, embracing reforms to advance Nigerians' economic freedom. Since 2023, our reforms have restored stability and credibility to economic management. Federation revenues have risen, providing state and local governments with more resources for infrastructure, education, health care, and security. Fiscal transparency has improved. Leakage has been reduced, and public funds are better directed to national priorities. Investors' confidence has returned with investment in agriculture, energy, manufacturing.
105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. We are looking at the President's address yesterday. He made a point, and I want us to look at that point. He said 5.41 trillion has been budgeted for defense and security for 2026. He also made a point that his government has approved for the recruitment of more than 50,000 new police officers alongside thousands of military recruits as part of a security emergency that his administration has declared. Another point that President Tinubu made was that 124,000 fighters and dependents have laid down their arms since 2023 through Operation Safe Corridor. 124,000 fighters. That is about the army of a country. So how many persons are presently armed? If within the last 3 years, 124,000 fighters and dependents have laid down their arms. So who are those still fighting? You can join this discussion. I have titled this class, President Tinubu and Nigeria's Democracy, a critical examination. And I'm going to state my view clearly. I mean what I think about President Tinubu and Nigeria's democracy. Happily, the president invited us to criticize him. But we should not give up on Nigeria. Mr. President, Edmondo Bilo give up on Nigeria? Nah. I'm not giving up on this country. And thank you, Mr. President, for inviting us to disagree with you, to criticize you. And I'm going to do that this morning. And you also have the opportunity to criticize, to praise. The ball is in your court. But for me, I'm going to be critical about Tinubu and Nigeria's democracy. And to be critical cannot be negative. It can also be positive. Yes, it can be negative. It can be positive. Not it cannot be negative. So let's start the talk. Let's begin the conversation. The number to call is 080 18449. WhatsApp call. Remember, there is going to be delay if you are listening through a transistor radio. But if you are listening online, we are on the same page. There won't be any delay. But if you are listening on transistor radio, there will be delay. So if you are using your radio to monitor your call, you might be confused. So don't use your radio. Use your phone. Because once you call and I pick it, you will hear my voice in your phone. So don't wait until you hear my voice on radio before you say hello. Okay? I hope you understand. So WhatsApp call only. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Edmond.
Good morning.
Morning. I am Obembe by name. Good to be in class this morning.
Mr. Obembe.
Let me say, personally, since the days of Buhari, unlike my training, I stopped intentionally listening to presidents when they talk. But yesterday's president's speech, I've had comments about it on television and co. And I must say the comments are impressive, in addition to what I've been mentioning this morning. However, on this issue of insecurity, I think there's still so much lacuna. If over 124,000 have surrendered their arms in the last few years, the president mentioned, the question to be asked, like you posited, is how many more are carrying arms? I think the greater question is, what is the recruitment base? You see, if you hear about Amajiri in the north, if you have not been there to see them, you will not know the magnanimity of the situation. Jonathan, during his time, built schools for these Amajiris, but on tribal sentiment, political sentiment, these political leaders made sure the school Jonathan built did not work. Sanusi Lamido Sanusi advocated, we have mosque in all our houses. Let us use part of the mosque as training ground for academics. They said no, they dethroned him. If 24,000 has laid down their arms, there are millions there waiting to be recruited. Have you had these northern governors mopping up these Amajiris? The money government is paying for banditry, for release of kidnapped individuals, to buy arms. What happens to using part of this money to put these people in school? So because if you have a leaking tank, if you evacuate all the water in the tank, then you can fix the pipe, or you plug the supply, then you can fix the problem. Nigeria is fixing a leaking tap when the pressure and the reservoir is still so full. Many security formalities have been proposed, but so far you still have them. People who have never been shown loved. One of them told me, beside this house is living, that this man just comes out and kills them at will. That he is lucky to be alive then at 30 something and doing his own trading by the roadside. They were never shown love. That is why they are barbaric. They can slaughter. They put knife to me just because I said, see, the television is not, you wanted to watch a Champions League match at night. Wait till the signal is good. It was a rainy night. Then we pay so that we can watch at a TV something. Then he put knife at me. Put knife because I requested for change for suya. You see, they were never shown love. They cannot be rehabilitated. The best is, I can't remember that country. The country said, see, this age group miseducation. They accepted those age group as wasted generation. Then they started educating the younger one. And that country was better for it.
Thank you.
The young Amajiri should be mopped up. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Obimbe. Thank you. So the WhatsApp number to call to join the broadcast on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station, is 080 999 18449. I am streaming on my Facebook page. If you're on Facebook, you can come and also leave your comment. For some time, I've not been reading comments. I'm also streaming on my X page. Are you on X? You can come and meet me on X now. I'm also streaming on my YouTube page. You can meet me on my YouTube page. Have you downloaded State Affairs app? We are also streaming on State Affairs app. We are streaming on Splash FM Facebook page. So come around, leave your comment. Please write out your comments clearly. That is why I stopped reading comments, because sometimes I struggle to read them. Write out your comments clearly. Edit it before you post. And make it simple. Make it simple. And if you have a lot to say, don't write it. Call. The WhatsApp number is open. I'm streaming on my YouTube page, Edmondo Bilo on YouTube. I am streaming on Edmondo Bilo's X page. I am streaming on Edmondo Bilo's Facebook page. Go on Splash FM page. We are also streaming on that page. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
I love your program. May God Almighty continue to bless you.
Thank you.
You see, concerning our president, I love what he said yesterday. You can criticize, but your criticism must have a valid weight. You see, Bola Tinubu, as I've been written on the social media, is one of the presidents that know where he's taking Nigeria to. But our impatience is one of our problems that is affecting us. Nigeria is because there's no government that has ever ruled Nigeria without Nigeria being complain. And that's what cannot solve our problem. Bola Tinubu, as I've said, when he came just within that 3 years, what he has done, since 1999, there's no president that has ever done it. That giant stride to remove the fuel subsidy is one of the best. Is one of the best action any president I've never taken in Nigeria, because he have stepped in so many toes. All this Boko Haram here and there that we are hearing, it is the work of this politician. They want to remove him by all means. That's exactly what they did for Jonathan, where in 2023. They scare him because, experience matter most. But Bola Tinubu, nobody can scare him. They know, and they know the Southwest. They know. And by the same time, they don't love Bola Tinubu, but when problem come, it will aggravate on Nigeria. You remember June 12, 1993. Anybody who have been born that time should remember what happened during that period. And at last, we won. Now, I am begging Nigeria, they should allow Bola Tinubu to take out to the promised land. He has a good plan for Nigeria, and I'm praying for him, and I pray for Nigeria, that when the goodness will come, Almighty God, our everlasting Father, shall not take our life that time. Thank you, Edmond. May God bless you in Jesus' name.
Thank you. Thank you for calling the radio station. Hello, good morning. Hello. Okay, this caller did not even take my advice. He's still monitoring through the radio. Even when I said if you call, go straight to the point. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Bello.
Good to hear your voice.
You over there, and how's weather over there? My name is Sunday Ademola. Now, quick one. I want to speak on the president broadcast or speech. The one thing I know about him, not only him anyway, many of them, they have a good speech. And at times, if you listen to them, if you want to bring out sword before, you will pocket your sword. But give them 2, 3, 4 minutes again, they are back to their vomit. All they know to do is to give brilliant speeches, but there is no action, there is no performance. In times of the present government, if you are doing well, it's not that people are not patient. The problem we have is that if you have done 1 or 2 or 3 things, let us see your sincerity. Let us know what you have done, which must have given us some impact. For example, you remove subsidy. You ask people to be enduring, and yet you are living flamboyant life. Look at the way you are living. All your ministers, all the National Assembly, all of them. One person was saying that one of the members of the National Assembly was saying that they have to be thanking our president because the constituents allowance they are getting. I said, if you see any senator
or House of Rep that is doing something. He's one of the APC senators in Osun State. He said, if you see us doing anything, don't think we are using our own personal money. It was the president that increased our what they are giving to us. Now, you can see the bogus amount, the way they are spending lavishly, the way they are going with loss rates. And you're asking your people to be enduring. That's one. Two is that you remove the subsidy, but we are not seeing the impact at all. It's like you remove the subsidy from the thief, and another thief take it over. Because it should be a blessing. It is our money. If you are saving trillions for us, the trillion should metamorphose to good health, good education, facility, road facility, security, and the rest. But we are not seeing the money. We understand that it is this regime that have borrowed even beyond what all other presidents have done so far. Not only that, if you also look at their budget, they are still financing 2024 budget as at today. As at last week, I was heard that the National Assembly have extended again the 2025 budget, or 2024 or 2025, instead of it to lapse in June this year, 2026. The budget that's supposed to have lapsed previous year, they extended again to August, from June again to August. Why? Because there is no money to finance it. And yet they will claim that they have met their target in November. And what is budget? Budget has to do with income and expenditure. Which means once you have income, then you have expenditure. But today, where is it? We can't see it. So what I'm saying in a nutshell is that they are just having sweet mouths. The action is not there. They don't know about governance. Governance is to take care of your people.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
The lines are open. You know, once you exceed 3 minutes, I'll begin to say thank you. And if you don't go, I'll cut you off. Hello, good morning. Hello.
If you don't go, I'll cut you off.
Hello, good morning.
Hello. Good morning. Hello, good morning. My name is Jonas. I'm calling from Ukepad. Hello.
You are still using your radio.
Hello.
I won't have the patience to tell us what to do. Once you have picked your call, once I have picked your call, your radio cannot be that loud. It can't be. Once you have called a radio station and your call has been picked, you turn down the volume of your radio set. If you don't do that, I'll be listening to myself talking to you, and that is echo. It's not good for radio. So please do not forget. Let me remind you again. I am not broadcasting from Nigeria. It simply means it is internet broadcasting. If you are listening on a transistor radio, by the time I say hello here, it will take you about sometimes 40 seconds for you to even hear the hello because of the delay. So if you call me and you are using the radio to monitor your own voice, you will not hear it. But use your phone. Once you call me, use your phone to monitor your voice. You will hear me. Then you go on to make your point. And as you're making your point, turn down the volume of the radio. Okay? By so doing, we are going to have clear conversation. I hope you understand. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Your name and where you're calling from?
Hello.
I can hear you.
Hello, good morning. This is Kola Lori from Apata, Ibadan.
The ball is in your court.
Can I go ahead? Okay, thank you. On the issue of security, the first caller named it on the head. He talks about the Almajiri system in the north, which is the practice in the northern part of Nigeria. And I think the federal government doesn't have power over that. The people of the northern region and their governments were the one who supposed to check and control that kind of system. Like he have said, if we keep on arresting, killing, there is already millions on ground to recruit again. That is why it is difficult for us to win this war against terrorism. They should check the way they burn kids there, the way they give birth without no one taking them to all these Islamic clerics who put them out. Those kids don't have human face at all. They have never shown love, like the man have said. So they don't care. They can kill at will. So the advice we will give the Mr. President is to liaise with the northern governor to please checkmate this emergency system. Even if they can stop it, it will be better for the whole nation and their own side. Thank you.
Thank you. I enjoyed that call. Very clear. Thank you. Let's listen to President Tinubu talk about security in his June 12th broadcast.
Though this year's mood is dampened by the abduction of our children in Yoyo and Bonu, we remain hopeful for their safe return. Democracy without security is not solid enough. That is why this administration has chosen both kinetic and non-kinetic strategies to restore peace, declared a security emergency, and approved the recruitment of 50,000 new police officers and thousands of military recruits. Our 2026 budget commits 5.41 trillion, our largest ever, to defense and security. We have moved from training with our allies to precision targeting. In Arege, we degraded ISWAP and command centers. Terror-related deaths are down by 81% since 2015. Over 13,000 terrorists have been neutralized in the past year. But we also keep the door of surrender open. Over 124,000 fighters and dependents have laid down arms since 2023. Through Operation Safe Corridor, we turn our former enemies into citizens because every life saved is a victory for democracy. To bandits, kidnappers, and sponsors of terror, surrender or face the full force of the Nigerian state. These windows of surrender will not remain open forever. No mercy will be shown to those who trade in blood of Nigerians. At a time like this, let us not assign blames or point fingers. Crime has no ethnicity. We must stand united and be assured that the enemies of our nation shall soon be history. We will triumph over terror and continue to build a more prosperous nation.
Here we go!
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live. Stay tuned.
Fellow Nigerians, today we celebrate democracy and the enduring Nigerian spirit. For 27 unbroken years, since May 29, 1999, Nigerians have chosen their leaders through the ballot, witnessed peaceful transition of power, and resolved disagreement in courtrooms and legislative chambers, not through violence. we have experienced the longest stretch of civilian rule in our history. Our democracy is not perfect, but it is ours, and we must continue to defend and strengthen it. In the coming days, Ekiti and Osun states will hold elections. I urge INEC, security agencies, and all parties to ensure these polls are peaceful and credible. Democracy fails when citizens doubt the process. To our National Assembly, judiciary, the press, and civil society, you are the guardrails of our republic. Criticize me, disagree with me, but never stop believing in Nigeria.
Hello, good morning.
Always a pleasure. I want to start by saying when our president comes to address us, for me, I see it as mere rhetoric. Like mere rhetoric, he just speaks, and the promises are not backed up by action. Seeing it. Now, 2 days ago, I was happy to hear that the House of Representatives had read, the bill for state policing, and they passed it. Everyone, I was happy because I know we talk about this too. We talk about this oftentimes. At least there's nothing on the table now. What we have on the table now is state police. At least to curb the excesses of these marauders. And as if I knew that the Senate was more clumsy. The Senate has never been active like the House of Rep. I don't understand the set of people that make up that body. I still don't understand it today. And I know that they are part of the problem we are facing in Nigeria today. In short, the major part of the problem are the Senate. The senators. I just heard yesterday that they were reading the bill at the debate, and at the point they halted, and they have extended it till July or August. Edmund Bilo, are they taking us for a joke? Citizens of the country, are they taking us for a ride? Look at the kidnappings, the latest kidnappings, and very soon, God forbid, might actually hear another one again. So when will the state policing come to light? And from the president's speech, I also heard that he wants to recruit 50,000. So that goes to show that the state policing bill should just be put aside. It's not a priority now, because that 50,000 the president mentioned in his speech is a counter to state policing. Otherwise, he didn't mention state policing in his speech. And that bothers me, Edmond Obilo. It bothers me because I know Bola Tinubu to be an active president who listens. So I don't buy the idea. I'm really, really disappointed that our president is not still in tune with what is happening in the land, about the fact that our future leaders are being targeted, and that the more they are targeting them, the future looks bleak. The future looks bleak for the entire country. So that's my take this morning. I hope that by the time they come back by July, they will speed up that process so that the governors, apart from the money given to them, security bill, they can get weapons, and equip their police to fight this insurgent once and for all. Thank you, Edmond Bilo.
Thank you. Thank you for calling. Oyewo Shola Simeon is on Edmond Obilo's page on Facebook. He says, "Good morning, Radio Man. The president's speech is full and filled with the challenges facing us. He should work in total possibilities and make things work out within the time frame, and to look back on how the democracy can work out based on our constitution." Thank you for your message. You can meet me on Edmond Obilo's page on Facebook. You can also leave your comment on my X page or on my YouTube page. We are streaming on those platforms. President Tinubu said our democracy is not perfect. President Tinubu says, "Criticize me, disagree with me, but don't stop believing in Nigeria." And he makes another valid point that democracy fails when citizens doubt the process. And that is the point I want to address in my critique. I will also open the line for you to address the president. As a citizen of Nigeria, I have my worries and I want to state them. I hope I will be able to finish. President Bola Tinubu is a man who has been around. So I have titled my critique, "Tinubu's Ruthless Politics, Courts, INEC, and the Smothering of Opposition." Since May 2023, Nigeria has existed under a pall of suspicion due to her dusty democratic atmosphere. President Bola Tinubu has been said to be the wild wind behind the dust. He has been accused of acting as a strong man in waiting, systematically dismantling the very institutions meant to check executive power. The primary targets have been the Nigerian judiciary and the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. The narrative that is widespread among opposition parties and civil society The narrative that is widespread among opposition parties and civil society is that the courts have been captured to deliver unbelievable judgments designed to strangulate opposition parties, leaving the All Progressives Congress as the only viable political vehicle. INEC has also been accused of colluding with the presidency, recognizing only pro-Tinubu factions of opposition parties and issuing a revised timetable for the 2027 elections, a timetable described as draconian that it seemed designed to ensure that Tinubu runs unopposed. By mid-2026, Nigeria appeared to be edging towards a full-spectrum, strongman-controlled state. National Assembly pocketed, courts pacified, and the Electoral Commission weaponized. Then something happened. A judgment came. A judgment from a federal high court in Abuja intervened. So this edition of State Affairs uses the details of that ruling, which nullified key provisions of INEC's 2027 election timetable, to analyze the architecture of Tinubu's ruthless politics and its implications for the 2027 election. Remember, the president says democracy fails when citizens doubt the process. Through an examination of the court's ruling, we will see how this judgment momentarily, take note of that word, momentarily restored what strong men most fear, a self-correcting legal mechanism. Strong men fear a self-correcting legal mechanism. And Tinubu is positioning himself as a strong man. Are strong men Democrats even when they say they are? The most common method that strong men use to undermine democracy is to attack its self-correcting mechanisms one by one. They often start with the courts and then they move to the media. The typical strongman either deprives courts of their powers or packs them with his loyalists and seeks to close all independent media outlets while building his own omnipresent propaganda machine. While media suppression is often the most visible tactic, the hijacking of the judiciary is arguably the most decisive blow a strong man can strike. By capturing the courts, a leader renders the rule of law meaningless, transforming the justice system from a shield for citizens into a weapon against them. I will give you some examples in world politics. Under President Erdogan and the AK party, Turkey presents a textbook case of judicial packing. Since the 2010 constitutional referendum in Turkey, the government of Erdogan has focused on gaining control over two key institutions, the Constitutional Court and the High Board of Judges and Prosecutors. This board appoints every judge and prosecutor in Turkey. Erdogan expanded the size of these courts, allowing himself to immediately appoint a majority of loyalists. The board that was once a bastion of secular independence was effectively placed under Erdogan's control. Courts that once checked government in Turkey now support the government. It has now become an arm of the executive. The judiciary in Turkey today is used to silence critics, ban opposition parties, and validate the government's shift towards authoritarianism under the guise of legal procedure. Let me remind you of Venezuela. Remember? Donald Trump recently went into Venezuela to extract the president of the country, Nicolas Maduro. In Venezuela, the late Hugo Chavez and his successor, Nicolas Maduro, perfected the art of the self-coup using the Supreme Court. Rather than abolishing the legislature outright, they used the judiciary to render it powerless. In March 2017, the pro-Maduro Supreme Court issued a ruling that seized the powers of the democratically elected National Assembly. The court declared it would legislate in place of the National Assembly. Why did the court do that? Because the National Assembly was occupied by opposition politicians. When the opposition in Venezuela tried to appoint a rival slate of judges to unhijack the courts, the Maduro-controlled magistrate declared those appointments illegal. They accused them of treason, and they threatened to send the opposition leaders to prison. So what did this do in Venezuela? It effectively erased the separation of powers. There are other examples in world politics. Vladimir Putin is a case study. He started pretending as a Democrat, but he has seized all powers in Russia. You also have strong men in Africa. Strong men who have successfully dismantled democratic safeguards using the same playbooks. What they do first is they capture the judiciary, then they silence the media. I will give you one example. President Yoweri Museveni of Uganda has been in power since 1986. What has he done? He has entrenched what is defined as competitive authoritarianism, where elections look democratic on paper, but genuine competition is impossible. The playbook includes constitutional manipulation, removing presidential term and age limit to eliminate any restriction on staying in power. State institutions in Uganda, including the Electoral Commission, the military, the police, are routinely used to secure victory for Museveni. Opposition candidates enter elections already weakened by arrest and intimidation. Think of Robert Mugabe, Paul Biya of Cameroon. So across these cases, the method is remarkably consistent. Pack the courts with loyalists, ignore unfavorable rulings, use prosecutions to harass opponents. The result is competitive authoritarianism, a system where democratic institutions exist in form but not in function. Is that what Bola Tinubu is enacting in Nigeria? I will continue after this break on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. Stay tuned, stay cool. Remember, you can also disagree with me. You can also critique me. Edmondo Billo on State Affairs. Yes, the ball is in your court.
My name is Mr. Adekola. I'm calling from Akingbele area of Oyo State. Now, let me go straight to my point. Reference to the broadcast of the president. The speech was so superb, fantastic, okay. But me, I want to disagree some areas. Are you getting my point?
Yes.
The reason being that, you see, virtually all the political parties in Nigeria now, they are all in disarray, with the exception of APC in this country. APC here, APC, there, all other parties, they are fighting themselves. Even if they go to the court, they will not get that way. The judiciary is in support of the president. The INEC, so far, is in support of the president. Let Mr. President separate the boys from the men. That's number one. The good, the bad, and the ugly aspect of this administration lies with the president and the governors of each state. Let me now come back to the Alimanjiri. Let the president invite all the northern governors and their leaders, including their traditional rulers, and find a holistic solution to this Alimanjiri. Or else the situation will continue to persist. A tank that is leaking and you keep on pouring water on it, at the end of the day, you have an empty tank. Good morning and God bless.
Thank you. Thank you for calling. Join the discourse. Make your point. President Bola Tinubu has spoken, and I am speaking. He has invited us to critique him and to disagree with him. I've also invited you to critique me and disagree with me. You can also critique the President's June 12, 2026 speech. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Sorry, good morning. I'm calling from Germany. My name is Mazi. I listened to your intro and all your analysis and what the president said yesterday. What he said is not new. I didn't hear anything promising on his speech yesterday. It was the same 7 o'clock news, like when Nigeria was under military. Every 7 o'clock, national address, you see somebody come up and say anything, and that's it. The issue is that anybody who is telling you that removal of subsidy in Nigeria is a good policy, that person is mischievous, because the problem that Nigeria has is not that subsidy. The problem is the corruption in the NNPC, in the petroleum sector. That is the problem, not the subsidy. Edmond Opilo, you have traveled around the world. Is there any country that has no subsidy in energy? Energy is the only place the government is, after. The subsidy on energy in America, in Germany where I live, in UK where I lived before, in Austria, everywhere is non-negotiable. You cannot negotiate, you cannot remove subsidy on energy. That country will collapse. So anybody who is telling you that Chief President Tinubu took a wise decision, to do this and that person doesn't know what he's talking about. He has not traveled around the world. He has not traveled. There's no way you can remove subsidy on energy and you think that country will survive. I just came back from America 2 days ago. In Houston, they buy a liter of petrol less than $1. While a poor Nigerian who has nothing to offer, who has no money, is buying a liter of fuel equivalently 1,400, that is $1. While somebody who lives in Texas, in Indiana, in Louisiana buys petrol cheaper than Nigeria. In Nigeria, you buy fuel for your car, for your office, for your home. While in America, you will buy only fuel for your car. There is energy everywhere. So these people are not serious. He was talking about democracy. That is not democracy. You have analyzed Turkey. He didn't even talk about Belarus. They call themselves democratic country, but they're not democratic. Voting every year. If you go, every 4 years, you go and vote. That is not democracy. Democracy is different from what African countries are practicing, mostly Nigeria. It is a shame that Nigerians are telling Tinubu to take them back to Buhari. We thought that Buhari could be the worst president of Nigeria. Unfortunately, Tinubu is the worst president that Nigeria ever produced. Tinubu has taken Nigeria backwards. Tinubu has made Nigerians destitute. I have never seen suffering in Nigeria like this under Tinubu. Finally, Edmond, can somebody say that what we have today is that Nigerians are better off today than under the military regime? Can we say that? At least I grew up in Nigeria. I lived under the military dictatorship. What Nigerians are going through today is horror.
Thank you.
Horror.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
The line is open. Let's talk. Let's critique. Let's speak. You can also take on me. You can disagree with my views. We are citizens, right? Let's talk. Yeah, I have spoken about insecurity in the last 3 months. I've been talking about insecurity. Who did not see the Orire abduction coming? You didn't see it coming? And you don't see another one coming? You don't see it coming? When it was happening in the north, you think you were safe in the south? Can you see the number of jobless persons coming into the south? Some are running from war. There is war in the north. So millions of northerners are displaced. Some of them have fought the war and they have run away. Some of them are bringing the war to the south. Do we have the capacity to check them? Poverty is rising in the south, so the poor people in the south will join the war. Once there is poverty, you will get violence. The price of poverty is violence. Where poverty reigns, violence will reign. I hope you know. Kehinde Onokule is on YouTube. He says, for me, successive governments in Nigeria have always embarked on endless economic reforms, which suffers the population to no avail. Governance is about citizen welfare. That is Kehinde Onokule on YouTube. Kehinde also says that Tinubu is lucky to have a new but effective speechwriter. In his latest national address, Tinubu is able to sound like a great statesman, a caring and accountable leader. Mr. Onokule, if you also go back and read Buhari's speeches and read Jonathan's speeches, do a comparative analysis and come back. Let me not conclude because I have done that. So after doing that comparative analysis, I just listen. I just listen. I don't judge anybody. I don't judge a leader by the speeches they make. Yes, good speeches are good. But beyond the speeches, I will not look at the speech. I'll pick a line. I will not look at the person's action. If the speech matches the action, I'll think it good. If the speech does not match the action, your speech is not good. Action. Action. It is about action. It is Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. Remember, President Tinubu is open to criticism. Edmond Obilo is also open to criticism. I am open to disagreement. Mr. President says criticize me, disagree with me.
Fellow Nigerians, today we celebrate democracy and the enduring Nigerian spirit. For 27 unbroken years, since May 29, 1999, Nigerians have chosen their leaders through the ballot, witnessed peaceful transition of power, and resolved disagreement in courtrooms and legislative chambers, not through violence. We have experienced the longest stretch of civilian rule in our history. Our democracy is not perfect, but it is ours, and we must continue to defend and strengthen it. In the coming days, Ekiti and Osun states will hold elections. I urge INEC, security agencies, and all parties to ensure these polls are peaceful and credible. Democracy fails when citizens doubt the process. To our National Assembly, judiciary, the press, and civil society, you are the guardrails of our republic. Criticize me, disagree with me, but never stop believing in Nigeria.
I am talking about authoritarian democracy. Is that where Nigeria is heading? Remember, you can also analyze the president's speech. I am carrying out my own analysis as a citizen. Like the president said, I can disagree with him, I can critique him. You can also disagree with me and critique me. So I have made the point that across the cases, the examples I gave, how strong men emerge to take over and capture the state, what they do first is they pack the courts with their loyalists, they ignore unfavorable rulings, they attack opposition parties, and they use prosecutions to harass opponents. The result is called competitive authoritarianism, a system where democratic institutions exist in form but not in function. Is that what Bola Tinubu is planning for Nigeria? Let me bring in a former governor of Ekiti State, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, to define competitive authoritarianism.
So those who don't get that consensus, what do you think will happen? You think they'll be happy? So you are waiting for an implosion then?
Have you told them?
My position is known. This is a year-old book.
Politicians don't read, don't you think so?
But they know my position. I've been consistent about this. That look, let us manage the process in a manner that even if people come out of it defeated, they will feel a sense of belonging. After all, I contested. Yes, I had 10 votes. People contested against me in the 2 governorship primaries that I spoke about. 5 of the people who contested against me were commissioners in my cabinet in 2018. I brought them back into the cabinet.
Why are you this kind?
It's not about, we are members of the same family. And that's why I have a problem with the winner takes all situation. When we won in 2018, in 2023, I even advised the president that we have to reach out to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, to Mr. Peter Obi. I told him all this.
You told the president?
Oh, yes.
He didn't take your advice.
Well,
the APC has hijacked everything.
Well, the president is the president.
You have even hijacked governors.
We've hijacked governors.
Yeah.
Governors have come to our party.
No, you hijacked
out of their own volition.
Volition. What is so special about the APC? That they are all abandoning ship. What did you tell them?
They probably want to belong to the president's party.
And now you can see what is happening to opposition parties.
Again, that is not going to last. We once had a person in this country that our late uncle Bola Ige described as 5 fingers of a leprous hand.
Abacha?
All parties came together. They were jostling for his attention. They said he must take their ticket. And they gave him the ticket. We were saying this earlier. The Nigerian always pulls back from the brink. I don't believe that President Tinubu, and from what I have read, I wasn't in any of those meetings. His meetings with governors, his meetings with the National Assembly members, I believe he emphasized to them that wherever consensus is not possible, abide by the provisions of the Constitution, go for primaries. I believe that's President Tinubu's position.
Dr. Fayemi, look at the political climate. It seems one party wants to swallow every other party. And it seems somebody somewhere is encouraging it.
If we're good students of history, we know that will not work.
It seems we are moving towards totalitarianism. That Nigeria is moving towards a dictatorship.
Well, in the literature of political science, there is something now known as competitive authoritarianism, actually. Because if you look around the world, you will see that a lot of autocrats are covering their system and government in the garb of democracy. Whether you're talking of Erdogan, or you're talking of Putin, or you're talking of Trump, or you're talking of the man who just got kicked out of Hungary, you will see that incrementally our democracy is being subverted by autocracy. And I hope that's not the bad lesson we are learning in Africa.
We've always learned that lesson. In Mali, we learned that lesson.
Well, Wherever
and it's happening in Nigeria.
But there's a danger to it. The wave of democratization that we've had in the last 3 decades is being reversed. That's why even for those of us who find military coups objectionable, if you talk to young people who never experienced or lived under military rule, they're the campaign managers for the Traores of this world. Just go on social media
and
see the way they sing his praise, because they've never lived under military rule. They don't know what you and I went through.
But we are providing them that option. The political class is providing that option.
That's why we need to pull back from the brink. The political class needs to pull back from the brink, and this travesty of electoralism has to be reversed. And if reversing it, going back to the alternative politics I spoke about, means bringing everybody together in a national unity government of sorts that is focused primarily on development, rather than this exclusionary politics that we're playing.
Here we go! State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live. Stay tuned.
You heard Kayode Fayemi there, a former governor of Ekiti State. What do you think? I have written a long script here. I will try to deliver it, and I hope the president is listening. Remember, the courts are not always stormed when strongmen want to begin to capture the state. So what they do sometimes is that they repurpose the courts. In Nigeria, opposition parties accuse President Bola Tinubu of enacting a judicial strangulation that feels eerily familiar. The playbook is subtle but devastating, not abolishing the judiciary, but weaponizing it. In the lead up to the 2027 elections, critics point to a pattern of court rulings that leave opposition parties in perpetual crisis. Before the judgment that I will analyze, the Tinubu administration was widely seen as following this playbook to the letter. The judiciary was accused of capture. Courts delivered rulings that dissolved opposition party leaderships, recognized pro-administration factions, and imposed verdicts that crippled rival campaigns. This effect was jurisprudential strangulation. What does that mean? Opposition parties are not defeated at the polls. They are deliberately erased by causing confusion in their camps. Let's look at the perambulating character of the courts before diving into the judgment that has perhaps challenged the Tinubu method. This is the explanation of the architecture of judicial strangulation in the manifest interest of democratic overreach. Before the relief of that Federal High Court judgment, the one that restored time to the opposition, there was a longer, darker pattern. It was a pattern of judicial decisions that did not merely resolve dispute, they annihilated opponents. Remember, the most common method that strongmen use to undermine democracy is to attack its self-correcting mechanisms one by one, often beginning with the courts and then the media. In Nigeria, under President Tinubu, this attack took a specific devastating form: the weaponization of party leadership disputes. This is how it works. Surrogates and individuals with no genuine claim to party leadership would be sponsored to file suit against opposition parties. They would argue about who was the rightful chairman, the legitimate national secretary, the authentic faction. Courts would entertain these suits. And then, through a cascade of conflicting judgments, some from Abuja, some from Enugu, some from Oyo State, the opposition parties would be fractured, paralyzed, and eventually rendered unrecognizable to INEC. By the time the courts were done, the opposition parties would exist only as ghosts. In its place would be 2, sometimes 3 warring factions. And INEC, now aligned with the presidency, would simply refuse to recognize any of them. This is what is called judicial strangulation. Now let's look at the dismembered People's Democratic Party. Before I look at it, I want to bring in a former governor of Imo State, Achike Udemwa. I spoke to Achike Udemwa in February 2025. So this interview was recorded in February 2025. You are a member of the PDP Board of Trustees.
Yes.
It's like the PDP is about collapsing. What is going on?
Well, I won't say it's collapsing, but it has its problems. What is going on actually is that there are external hands trying to destroy PDP from internal sources, but it has external hands on them. And, well, we are still battling with the problem, and I believe PDP will not be destroyed. We will soon be able to get through the problems.
You said external hands.
Yes.
Battling the party.
Yes.
Through internal hands.
Yes, please.
Have you been able to trace the external hands?
Yeah, we know. It's not hidden. It's not hidden. We know that our opponents, the APC, have a hand in what is happening to us. So we know it.
So who are the internal hands the APC is using?
Well, they are using people within our own rank.
Who are these people?
Well, we maybe that is confidential, but we know them.
Is Wike one of those being used to destroy the PDP?
Oh, why are you calling Wike? Have you any information?
Wike works with the APC. He's the minister of the Federal Capital Territory.
Well, it is not unusual that the ruling party can appoint a minister from outside the party. That is not the problem.
And remember, the problem also escalated when Wike could not get the presidential ticket of the party.
Yeah, and anybody, when you vie for a position and you don't get it, you may feel aggrieved. It's normal.
So Wike is aggrieved?
Yeah.
And the Wike group is aggrieved?
They will be.
So are they the ones fighting the PDP?
I have not said so, but we know the hands that are fighting PDP. And unfortunately, our society has grown to such level where if you say vote for me, I'm no more asking what can you do. what are your antecedents? What type of character do you have? I don't ask such questions again. And of course, even if I don't vote for you, you can buy your way through. If you have the right amount of money in your hand, you can buy your way through.
How? How do they do that?
Well,
can you buy INEC?
Ask the courts.
When you say buy your way through,
yeah, ask
you
the
buy
courts.
the voters?
Ask the courts.
You buy the voters?
Buy everything.
You buy INEC?
Everybody.
You buy police?
Everybody.
You buy the army?
Everybody. You buy them all.
So our election is about buying?
Yes, please. And that is one thing we must curb. Because if we curb it, we get the correct leadership. We don't have the correct leadership.
That's Achike Udenwa, former governor of Imo State. He was the governor of Imo State from 1999 to 2007, the same period that Bola Tinubu was the governor of Lagos State. So let's look at the PDP. The PDP was once Africa's largest political party. It governed Nigeria for 16 uninterrupted years. By 2026, the PDP had been reduced to a legal battlefield. Consider the case of the PDP National Secretary. In October 2024, a federal high court removed Senator Samuel Anyanwu from office. The Court of Appeal in Enugu affirmed this decision in December 2024, recognizing Sunday Ude Okoye as the rightful National Secretary. This was a major blow to the faction loyal to Nyesom Wike, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, an ally of President Tinubu. But then, on March 20, 2025, the Supreme Court spoke. In a stunning reversal, the Apex Court nullified the lower court's judgment and declared Anyanwu as the legitimate PDP National Secretary. Why was this stunning? Because of the reasoning. Justice Jamilu Tuko, delivering the lead judgment, heard that the issue of who serves as the National Secretary of the PDP pertains to the internal affairs of a political party, which is not justiciable. So the court struck out the trial court's judgment, set aside the Court of Appeal's majority decision, and affirmed the minority judgment that had nullified everything on grounds of lack of jurisdiction. Furthermore, the Apex Court heard that the plaintiff, the man who had initiated the entire saga, lacked the legal standing to sue. He had not demonstrated how he was personally affected by the PDP's choice of National Secretary. This judgment contains a firm irony. The Supreme Court was, in this instance, correcting an overreach. It was saying, courts have no business deciding who leads a political party. That is an internal matter. But mind you, the damage had already been done. Two lower courts had already ruled. Two factions had already hardened. Precious time, the time opposition parties need to organize, to strategize, to unite, had already been burned. Hey, this is how strong men operate. You can call it the strong man's genius. He does not need every court to rule in his favor. He only needs the process to be long, confusing, and exhausting. The delay is the weapon. Okay, let's come to the Ibadan Convention of the PDP. Perhaps the most telling example of this judicial warfare came in November 2025. A faction of the PDP, supported by Governors Sheyi Makinde of Oyo State and Bala Muhammad of Bauchi State, convened a national convention in Ibadan. They elected Kabiru Taminu Turaki as the party's new national chairman. But there was a problem. Federal court judges in Abuja, including Justices Omotosho and Peter Lifu, had in separate judgments barred the PDP from holding any national convention. The Ibadan Convention proceeded anyway, snubbing the Abuja court's orders. What followed was a cascade of contradictory rulings. The Oyo State High Court cleared the PDP to proceed with the Ibadan Convention and directed INEC to monitor it. The Federal High Court in Abuja nullified the Ibadan Convention, declaring it unconstitutional, unlawful, null, and void. The Court of Appeal affirmed the Federal High Court's decision invalidating the Ibadan Convention. The Turaki faction appealed to the Supreme Court. And while all this was happening, the Wike allied faction, the one loyal to Tinubu, held its own convention in Abuja on the very day of the Federal High Court judgment nullifying the Ibadan Convention. Judge Joyce Abdul Malik, delivering the Federal High Court judgment, held that the Ibadan Convention violated Section 287, subsection 3 of the Nigerian Constitution. That section provides that the decisions of the Federal High Court shall be enforced by all authorities and persons across the Federation. She declared, "I consider the expulsion of the members of the plaintiffs as not only an affront to the subsisting judgment, but also a direct assault to a democratic and principled society where the rule of law is in practice." There is poetry in this quote, but it is tragic poetry. Judge Abdul Malik is correct. Court orders must be obeyed. That is the foundation of any legal system. But what happens when courts issue contradictory orders? What happens when one judge in Abuja says no convention and another judge in Ibadan says yes, go ahead? The answer is chaos. And the strong man creates chaos to thrive. To thrive. The ordinary citizen cannot follow these legal battles. They don't understand it critically. They are more concerned about food. Now, when you create chaos, the opposition parties cannot organize. The only institution that benefits is the executive. An executive that watches from above as its opponents tear themselves apart in courtrooms. Hey, come with me. I don't have any sympathy for PDP. By the way, that party so impoverished Nigeria for 16 years. That party watched as Boko Haram blossomed. That party watched as terrorism spread, as bandits take over the land. Sometimes you want to say, serve them right. But if you are a lover of democracy, you also operate on the basis of principles. So this is my message to the PDP. And it's a note of warning to the fallen opposition. To those who once held the pen, the purse, and the power, listen. You are being strangled today. Yes. Tinubu fractures you. Yes. INEC strangulates you. Tinubu's surrogates file suit after suit until you are unrecognizable. You are down. PDP is down. You fear falling, so you scream, ho, ho, ho. You cry capture. You cry Tinubu's dictatorship. And you are not wrong. But let us speak a harder truth. The PDP and its members are not innocent victims of authoritarianism. PDP and its members, now outmatched by a more disciplined predator, must have learned some lessons. You had your turns. 16 years of PDP rule, decades of state governorships, control of local governments, police, security votes, electoral commissions. And what did you do? What did you build for Nigeria? The PDP left a Nigeria where poverty deepened. A Nigeria where corruption became a culture, accepted culture, where politics became corruption. PDP legitimized corruption. PDP created a Nigeria where your own internal primaries, where the PDP internal primaries were more violent than any APC stronghold. PDP created a Nigeria where its members silenced opponents with the same gavels that they now cause. The PDP possessed authoritarian trait. Go and look at Obasanjo. Even Jonathan dragged Tinubu to court to frustrate the opposition. The PDP detained journalists. The PDP rigged elections. The PDP made election rigging normal. The only difference between the PDP and Tinubu is that Tinubu is winning now and they are losing. If the PDP was being fractured, the Labour Party was being erased. And you see Peter Obi was jumping around. Jumping Peter. Where is Jumping Peter? He has jumped to NDC. What a jumping man. It is Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. Stay tuned. Remember, stay cool, okay? The radio man is here. right. The line is open. You can call on WhatsApp 080 999 18449. That is 080 999 18449.
Fellow Nigerians, today we celebrate democracy and the enduring Nigerian spirit. For 27 unbroken years, since May 29, 1999, Nigerians have chosen their leaders through the ballot, witnessed peaceful transition of power, and resolved disagreement in courtrooms and legislative chambers, not through violence. We have experienced the longest stretch of civilian rule in our history. Our democracy is not perfect, but it is ours, and we must continue to defend and strengthen it. In the coming days, Ekiti and Osun states will hold elections. I urge INEC, security agencies, and all parties to ensure these polls are peaceful and credible. Democracy fails when citizens doubt the process. To our National Assembly, judiciary, the press, and civil society, you are the guardrails of our republic. Criticize me, disagree with me, but never stop believing in Nigeria. To our young people, Nigeria is your home and your future. Build here, code here, work here, and food here. Every great nation was built by those who stayed to solve problems, but not by those who abandoned ship. To our armed forces, police, and intelligence services, Nigeria salutes your sacrifice. To our traditional rulers, faith leaders, and community heads, thank you for your support of peace and reconciliation. The government cannot do it alone. Today, we honor the resilience of Nigerians who refuse to surrender their faith in freedom and the courage of those who stood firm against intimidation. We pay tribute to patriots who endured persecution, imprisonment, exile, and even death so that future generations could enjoy democracy. I salute labor leaders, journalists, activists, students, women, professionals, political leaders, and soldiers, both those who passed and those still with us, for their patriotic contributions. Though this year's mood is dampened by the abduction of our children in Yoyo and Borno, we remain hopeful for their safe return. Democracy without security is not solid enough. That is why this administration has chosen both kinetic and non-kinetic strategies to restore peace, declared a security emergency, and approved the recruitment of 50,000 new police officers and thousands of military recruits. Our 2026 budget commits 5.41 trillion, our largest ever, to defense and security. We have moved from training with our allies to precision targeting. In Arege, we degraded ISWAP and command centers. Terror-related deaths are down by 81% since 2015. Over 13,000 terrorists have been neutralized in the past year. But we also keep the door of surrender open. Over 124,000 fighters and dependents have laid down arms since 2023. Through Operation Safe Corridor, we turn our former enemies into citizens because every life saved is a victory for democracy. To bandits, kidnappers, and sponsors of terror, surrender or face the full force of the Nigerian state. These windows of surrender will not remain open forever. No mercy will be shown to those who trade in blood of Nigerians. At a time like this, let us not assign blames or point fingers. Crime has no ethnicity. We must stand united and be assured that the enemies of our nation shall soon be history. We will triumph over terror and continue to build a more prosperous nation. June 12 occupies a sacred place in our national memory. It represents more than an election. It is a defining chapter in our history. We remember Chief MKO Abiola, who won a pan-Nigerian mandate transcending ethnicity and religion. We remember Alhaja Kudirat Abiola. We also remember Chief Ganifa Emi, Chief Bola Ige, Chief Alfred Rwani, and Pa Abraham Adesoya, Chief Anthony Enahoro, Alhaji Balarabe Musa, Commodore Dan Suleiman, Beko Ransom Kuti, Franco Kori, Arthur Nwanko, Chima Obani, Shehu Musa Yar'Adua, and the many other heroes and heroines of democracy whose sacrifices helped secure the freedom we enjoy today. As beneficiaries of their struggle, we have a duty to strengthen and deepen the democratic institutions for which they fought. The greatest tribute we can pay is to build a Nigeria where freedom is protected, justice is upheld, opportunity is expanded, and government is accountable. June 12, 1993, revealed the possibility of a true Nigerian nation. The heroes of June 12 secured political freedom. Our challenge is to secure economic freedom. Democracy must be felt in the quality of people's lives, in opportunities for youth, in prosperous farmers, successful entrepreneurs, and the dignity of our workers.
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live.
The reforms were
It is Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. So you can join the conversation, join the analysis. The lines are open. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Your name and where you calling from?
My name is Temitope Solomon from Ibadan.
All right, the ball is in your court.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Edmond. Thank you for what you're doing for political consciousness. Listening to the president's speech, it's actually evident that it's all talk and no action, basically. Because the action deviated from the talk. And like you rightly mentioned, you look at the action to actually understand whether that person is actually following their speech, which is not evident in our president's activities. And on the terms of democracy, I love the choice of words used by the former governor of Ekiti, Dr. Fayemi, about competitive authoritarianism. And that particular term emanated from different studies on democratic backsliding. And the studies reveal the fact that while there's democracy, oftentimes it is cosmetic, whereby it is on the facial value just to have election. Mostly election, and even during the election and after the election, there's always the stifling of opposition, whereby they are constrained and even put in disarray. Like you quietly pointed out in your analysis of how the present administration uses different tactics, and there are various arenas of contestation where we see that this thing have for Nigeria, especially the legislative culture and also the judicial override, and using them or deploying them to stifle or reduce our democracy. In a way, it's bad, especially for those of us that see that democracy, while it is not perfect, is also very suitable, and it's like the ideal that we can still deal with for now. And it's a shame for a so-called Democrat that will say that they champion democracy during the Nadeko time and they like that. Under that kind of person is where we are now having a very, very huge democratic backsliding. It is so worrisome that you are tilting a little bit towards a one-party system, and it's bad as we are looking at it for a kind of heterogeneous country like ours that should have a different choice, that are very, very capable, but the system has been used to reduce the opposition. While it is not, politics is amoral, quite all right, but for the benefit of democracy, it is bad. Thank you for all you are doing, and I join my voice with others to call for the release of the kidnapped children in Oriri local government. Thank you very much, Mr. Edmond. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you for joining the conversation here. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
This is Dan from Ring Road.
All right, Mr. Dan, please speak up a bit.
Dan from Ring Road.
Okay.
So, yes, I just want to comment based on, some, commentary concerning the president's speech yesterday.
Hello? All right, I can hear him. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning.
Okay, I believe I can hear you. I believe that you can hear me over there.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Are you using earpiece?
Yes.
No, that's why you are not loud. Can you remove your earpiece and speak into your phone? You'll be very rich.
Okay. I think I've removed it now.
Uh-huh.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Oh, I remember vividly, I think around 2022, 2023, I wasn't in Southwest then. I really want to tell you a short story so that we're able to learn from it that the state where we find ourselves in Nigeria is deeping. And I believe that what is happening right now, it won't even get worse. I was in Mina at that time. You won't believe I lived in the Coppers Lodge. The name of the school is Federal Government College, Mina, around that Tunganguru side. And there is a miners. I think you brought that to our notice last year around that Okeogun side that there is a miners there. And let me tell you this story so that you're able to know what is going on in Nigeria currently. There is a miner site in that place. And we, the Coppers, we live in that compound. The place is very big. That school is very big. Very big. That even if they kidnap someone in that place and kill the person, they won't know what is going on in that place. We, the Coppers, we are living in that place, and some of the staff also, they are living in that compound. You won't believe that all these miners, they have mined to the extent that even if you are walking in that compound, you might sink when there is rain. And under that bridge, you are going to see just a little of them. There was a time we are looking for water. There is no water in that community that time. And we are just lucky that, let's even go to this dam that is very nearby to our place and let's try to go and find water. Edmond, you won't believe what my eye see in that place that day. We crossed over to that bridge. That is where we met all these miners. If I didn't exaggerate, there are more than 1,000. And if you are passing that place, you won't believe that that place can contain only 5 people. You won't believe. And the surprising thing that surprised me most of that day is that there were soldiers that are monitoring those people. And for you to know, that place I'm talking about, it's not even up to 1 kilometer far away to barracks. And then my friend that brought us to that place was, there's nothing that happened that all these soldiers, because all this thing that is happening in Nigeria, they are aware of it. Soldiers are protecting these people. That is not where our point. During that time also, there was a mosque that is very close to where I was staying. On the election day, come and look at the way they are cursing. Sorry, I know that some of them are hearing me because I preach to some of the teachers there that please, if you know that you truly love politics, there is a man that I believe that I used to listen to his program every Saturday. Some of them, they will be hearing my voice as I'm speaking in Niger State. Most of them used to hear you. I will play my radio and I'm going to put it in the loudspeaker so that everybody can hear what I'm hearing or every Saturday. Now, this is where I'm going. That Nigeria, the president's speech, when I listened to the president's speech this morning, yesterday, I was just shaking my head. You said you are feeling our pain. Do you know how many times this man has been saying that he feel our pain? And the lifestyle that you, a president, is living is not correlating with what you are preaching to us. I pray Nigeria will be great again. Let everybody just think again. Get your PVC and vote right. And I pray Almighty God is going to help us. Thank you so much. Thank you once again, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. This is Dayo from Ring Road, calling back.
All right. Miss Dayo, are you using earpiece? Are you using earpiece?
No, I'm not using earpiece.
Okay.
Okay, you can't hear me.
I can hear you now.
Okay, so as I was saying, it's interesting hearing people saying that the president, is making comments, mere rhetorics, not backed with action. And then some of them, you hear them mention state police, and you wonder if that state police actually dropped from heaven or somewhere. I mean, the whole state police matter was put in motion by some people, which is part of it. We're expecting him to do yet that have not yet concretized, but it does not mean that he's not doing some of the things that he promised. Some of the things that he promised, like the tax reforms, have already been set in motion, like the national single window, other efforts towards devolution of power from the center towards the other federating units, like local government autonomy that he fought, to the level of the Supreme Court, which the governors are still, frustrating. But if you are following the news, you will realize that matter is now in the House, about to be debated upon towards actually amending the Constitution so that they can formally recognize local governments as a third tier of the government. Now, when you look at all these things that have been done, these are some of the promises that are now being put into policy. these are the things that will now determine how the government is going to be run in the future. Now, Bola Tinubu, love him or hate him, he is shaping up now to be the most consequential president in this.
You know, Mr. Dio's line keep breaking. Your line keep breaking.
Sensation. What do I mean? By the time he's gone, the subsequent. I'm hearing you clearly.
All right, go on.
Okay, so now he's going to make the job of the presidents that are going to take over from him easier. Why? Because now, in maybe some years to come, when there's insecurity in your state now, you won't have to be calling the president. You will now be calling your governor. Why? Because they are now in charge of their own state police. Again, maybe in future, if you don't have light in your area, you won't be calling the minister of power. You'll be calling your governor and his commissioner. Why? Because now states have been given the power to generate their own power and distribute. What that means is that in a few years to come, some states will be having 24 hours electricity, while some states will still be wondering what is going on. Okay, and I believe states like Lagos or some states in the south like Rivers and Akwa Ibom will be able to achieve that. What am I saying? What I'm saying in essence is that in future, this man would have changed the way we see governance and the way we relate even with our government, and he would have been the most consequential president in the history of this country. That's what I want to say.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dio. Thank you for making your point. The line is still open. Join the discourse. Make your point as I make my point. My analysis on Tinubu's ruthless politics. I'm giving you the abridged version here. The full version is on my YouTube page. So you can go on the page and listen to my full version of my critique of Tinubu on Democracy Day. And I would also like to read your critique of what I have said. This democracy must be protected. Yes, it is not perfect. And because it is not perfect, we are fighting to improve it. And it is our responsibility, including members of the opposition party, including the APC. Together, we can build a democratic society that serves the largest majority.
Good morning, Olu Adiyama is my name.
Good morning.
We all know the right thing to do in this country, but we are not ready to do it. Because we believe that it is only a leader that can do it, which is not. It is collectivity idea. But that idea must come from a leader with a vision, not a leader that sentiment and believe in power only. The speech made by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu yesterday, in fact, is disappointing. To me, everybody knows the situation that everything happened in Nigeria presently. And our president is talking about the former head of state, the past people that are ruling. Is that what we need? We are talking about hunger, insurgents, kidnapping, and hardship in Nigeria. Where some people are still supporting and I still believe that he can do it. Let me ask a simple question. I like when you brought Fayemi this morning. I saw it in your what do they call it? When you interview him, he argued and opposed the way of Tinubu remove subsidy in Nigeria without connect the governor. In fact, allow the governor to bring their opinion before remove the subsidy. And look at the way is running this country. There must not be any other opposition. Is that what? Because we need a country where I'm a Yoruba man living in Ibadan can freely leave Ibadan by 12 o'clock midnight and go to Igbo land and go to Kaduna land. Some people, look at what this president is doing. People that already killed innocent life, and people are still celebrating him. Rehabilitating people from different places, from different areas, and they are still praising Tinubu.
Thank you.
This country. Is it not a shame to this nation?
Thank you.
Rehabilitate. How did they rehabilitate them? How did they do it?
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you. We are coasting home. And when we are coasting home, you should be hitting the nail on the head. So Yolu was just repeating his point, and he has made his point. Now let me talk about the judgment that brought relief to opposition parties. I've given a case study of the PDP. In the full broadcast of my critique of Tinubu's politics, I gave examples of Labour Party, ADC, but I'm not going to do that here. This is an abridged version. But let me mention some aspects of the judgment. So into the whole saga came the Youth Party's lawsuit and Justice Muhammad Umar's verdict. What Justice Umar's verdict did was to correct a bureaucratic overreach by INEC. Mind you, let me bring in Achike Udenwa again, a former governor of Imo State.
Unfortunately, our society has grown to such level where if you say vote for me, I'm no more asking what can you do, what are your antecedents, what type of character do you have. I don't ask such questions again. And of course, even if I don't vote for you, you can buy your way through. If you have the right amount of money in your hand, you can buy your way through.
How do they do that?
Well,
can you buy INEC?
Ask the courts.
When you say buy your way through,
yeah,
you buy the voters?
Ask the courts.
You buy the voters?
Buy everything.
You buy INEC?
Everybody.
You buy police?
Everybody.
You buy the army?
Everybody. You buy them all.
So our election is about buying?
Yes, please. And that is one thing we must curb. Because if we curb it, we get the correct leadership. We don't have the correct leadership.
Fellow Nigerians, today,
so INEC, the judgment against INEC. Let's look at it briefly. Now, this judgment by Justice Muhammad Umar corrected a bureaucratic overreach. It reasserted the primacy of statutory law over executive agency discretion. Each key quotation from the ruling dismantles a pillar of the strong man's temporal ruthlessness. On the tyranny of abridged time, the court rules that INEC cannot lawfully abridge or limit that statutory period by prescribing a shorter time frame in its 2027 election timetable. This verdict targets the core tool of the administrative strongman, the power to dictate pace. In politics, time is a political resource. By compressing deadlines, INEC can manufacture chaos, disorient opponents, and claim legal compliance while violating the spirit of the law. So Justice Umar by his ruling, invokes the concept of durational due process, the idea that legal procedures require a meaningful, legislatively mandated duration to be legitimate. INEC's timetable was not an administrative guideline. It was a weapon. The court held that statutory periods, that is 120 days before an election for candidate submission, are not suggestions that INEC can just wake up and change, but a constitutional minimum. To abridge them is to unilaterally amend the Electoral Act, a legislative power that INEC does not possess. The ruling restores the distinction between implementation and legislation, a boundary that strong men like Tinubu love to blur. On the withdrawal and substitution of candidates, the court ruled that by Section 31 of the Electoral Act 2026, INEC lacked the powers to abridge or limit that statutory period by fixing earlier deadline for the withdrawal and replacement of candidates. You know, this speaks to the right of political evolution and correction. In any democratic primary, losers may seek to contest under different platforms. Parties may need to replace flawed candidates. By imposing an earlier deadline, INEC was freezing political identities prematurely. By its ruling, the court defended what Karl Popper called piecemeal social engineering, the ability for democratic actors to correct errors without catastrophic penalty. Dictators always have one instinct: they desire finality. But democracy requires reversibility. This judgment insists that up to 90 days before an election, the political field remains fluid. The parties can carry on with their primaries. To fix candidates earlier is to deny parties the right to learn from their own mistakes, a form of enforced political stupidity that benefits the incumbent who has no intention of making mistakes public. On the publication of final candidate list, Justice Muhammad Umar asserts that INEC did not possess the statutory power to publish the final list of candidates for the 2027 general election before the 60 days minimum period prescribed by law. This is a defense of the interval of deliberation. A democracy requires time before the finalization of the candidate's roster and the election itself, time for public debate, media scrutiny, and legal challenges. By moving the final list earlier, INEC was effectively shortening the campaign period and shrinking the public sphere. The court reaffirmed that the 60-day period is not bureaucratic dead air, but a constitutional breathing space. By accelerating the final list, INEC was attempting to rush the nation past the messy, critical phase of public deliberation into a quiet, managed voting day. I will encourage you to go and listen to the full version of my analysis on my YouTube page. I talked about membership register for primary elections. Now, the judgment set aside INEC's timetable, effectively restoring the statutory powers: 120 days for candidate submission, 90 days for withdrawal or replacement, and 60 days minimum before final list publication. For the opposition, this was a relief. a judicial declaration that the 2027 election might not be a coronation of Tinubu. However, INEC has appealed the judgment, so we are waiting to see what the courts will do. Don't forget, the strong man's playbook has a ready response to adverse court rulings: appeal, delay, ignore, or park the appellate bench. So, this judgment is best understood as a temporary rupture in the otherwise smooth machinery of a creeping dictatorship. But its ultimate fate, whether upheld by a higher court or overturned, will determine if Nigeria remains a flawed democracy or completes its transition into a Putin-style electoral facade. Let me conclude this way. The strong man does not usually abolish elections outright. Instead, they keep them as a ritual that serves to provide legitimacy and maintain a democratic facade. And this is to the opposition parties. Or should I leave them for now? No. The people are not fools. They watch the center of opposition weeping about judicial capture, and they remember how they also used the courts to capture elections. They hear the PDP warning about dictatorship, Labour Party shouting, ADC screaming. They recall their own godfathers, their own imposed candidates, their own talks at polling booths. The PDP, APC, NDC leaderships are not heroes of this democracy. They are just wounded kingpins, and the Nigerian people should owe them no sympathy. However, we must let democracy survive. So to them, they have a choice. Redemption, redeem themselves, or destroy themselves finally. And Tinubu is going to help them. To the people, be vigilant, be watchful. The program is State Affairs on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. I am Edmund Opilo. I worked with Bosun Alayode to bring you this edition of State Affairs. The next program is Gbangba Lashata with Abiodun Adewale. It is Splash 105.5 FM. The radio man says bye for now.